Hello everyone, welcome to one of the most highly requested videos on my channel. Today we're talking about my October seasonal deck favorites. This is my list of decks that I'm using this year, ones that I'm really feeling called to work with, and also just time for a little bit of a witchy chat. So first thing I want to say is hi everyone. I know last week I didn't get to record any videos. I had to perform my civic duty here in the United States, and so unfortunately, I did miss making videos for you all last week, but I'm very happy to be back this week. And I've found this fall, this autumn season here to be, in some ways, you know, it is my favorite time of year, as you all know. So it's been beautiful and magical getting to spend some time out in nature with my son. But I've also found the energy to be really intense and kind of anxiety inducing this year. I don't know if any of you are also experiencing that as well. And so if you are, I would just offer you a little love and encouragement there, that if you are feeling more anxious or that you feel like there's kind of a heavier energy around, I think we're all experiencing that. And, you know, be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself around that. Because it does seem to be something at like a planetary level, astrologically, but also I do think just energetically, societally, as humans, there's a lot going on. So I've been finding when I do have solitary time to myself for my practice, it's really been about stripping it back to the basics. And, you know, I did talk about that in my series, in the Witchcraft and Tarot, series this summer. You know, in those times when we're experiencing difficulty, that it is okay to strip our practice back and to go back to basics. So for me, that's been all about journaling, daily draws, and just meditating with deity when I can. I've also really felt very drawn to Santa Muerta and Azrael, which of course, both of those aspects and faces of deity really do hold the energy of death, of sacred death, of dying. And that matches up, of course, on the Wheel of the Year where we are. But also, I do think sometimes the stillness that can be encompassed in the energy of Azrael and Santa Muerta can be very comforting. If you are called to work with Santa Muerta at all, you know, she is, the Bony Lady is the deity of all of us, sinners especially, because she is all encompassing, infinitely compassionate. There's no judgment with Santa Muerta. So if you are called to work with her, it's really beautiful, beautiful energy. In addition, I've also been working with the Magdalene for a variety of reasons, and I've really enjoyed kind of remembering, you know, the sacred sexuality that the Magdalene holds within her, and the power of the earthiness and sensuality in spiritual practice. So those have been things that I've been exploring on my path as a witch. You know, it hasn't been so much as about occult work as it is sometimes for me in the fall. It's been much more about experiencing a sense of comfort, of understanding, and of love from my deity. So really been working with those energies a lot. And you'll also see that there are 2 Goddess Oracle decks on this list. So I've been bringing that energy in as well and really feeling very comforted by it. So this is kind of an eclectic list. It's not necessarily going to be the decks that you would expect. There are a few that you would expect on this list, but most of them are more about experiencing a sense of love and comfort on my path, and a little bit less about the mysterious witchy energy that I love of this, you know, from this time of year. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm not enjoying that, because I am. This time of year is really, really beautiful. But there's also just been that call for going within in comfort. I think like really feeling the energy of the Death card and the Hermit card in positive ways for myself. So if you're in a similar place on your journey, know that you're not alone, and that, you know, making time to connect with deity that's in alignment with where we are on our journey can be something that's really rewarding if you follow a left hand or a pagan path. So that being said, I don't know where to start. I'm so excited. I love my decks so much. You guys know this. And they really are individual energies for me. And I'm so blessed to be able to read for a living. And so I get to work with so many decks every day, and it's just so joyful for me. So I'm like super stoked to talk about these guys. I want to do an honorable mention. She didn't quite make the list, but she is one that I can't stop thinking about, and that I have been reading with clients a great deal. And that's the Tarot of Mystical Moments. You guys know I always want to call it Tarot of Magical Moments, and it's not. It's Tarot of Mystical Moments. I've talked about this deck a lot. It's really, really beautiful. And the artwork kind of, while being almost like mid to late summer in its feel to me, there is a richness in some of the colors, you know, a saturation that I do feel lends itself well to autumn tarot work. And I've talked to you guys a lot about how freaking spot on this deck is, eerily so for me when it comes to my personal work, and how no nonsense this deck can be as well. It's also a really great one for meditation. And if you're using tarot as part of your magical practice, it is a great deck to use for visualization and affirmation in spell work, I find. So if you feel called to work with this deck, it is one that lends itself well to ritual work. I will say I do read reversals in this deck because this deck is just, she can be a real bitch, and I mean that in a good way. And I think the reversals in this deck, I don't typically read with reversals, as many of you know, but in this deck, the reversals do paint a very different picture. It's not so much just the energy blocked or in shadow. There are actually some separate meanings that she gives in the guidebook that I do think resonate when it comes to reversals. And so in this deck, I do work with reversals, but she's honorable mention. There's our beloved Nine of Pentacles. This is a really great deck. It's not light and hearts and flowers though. Even though the artwork might make you think that, it's really not. This is a very straightforward shot of tequila deck. Like, this deck is a truth teller, and sometimes it can be really confronting and uncomfortable. But that's Tarot of the Mystical Moments. Now into the list itself. I'm going to start with the pocket edition of the Isis Oracle. This is one of those decks where if you are feeling a little bit raw or sensitive, the Isis Oracle, the pocket edition, is a really nice way to get a loving, connected communication from the goddess, and to have that feel really supportive and empowering for where you are in your journey. So this deck is one that I have been going to when I just need a little sense of connection with Isis, or I may not feel up to doing a full spread for myself, but I need to feel that sense of connection with the divine. So this is a beautiful deck for those type of messages. And if you feel drawn to the Egyptian pantheon, and specifically if you feel called to Isis and or Osiris, this is a really beautiful deck for that. As you guys know, the Isis Oracle is one of my all-time favorite Oracle decks, and this really nice pocket edition with the affirmations on the back is, I think, a worthy addition to your collection if you work with Isis at all. And if you are feeling in need of tenderness and nurturing, this is a really great deck to offer that for you. So that's the Isis Oracle Pocket Edition. Okay, let's go to this one next. So this is in keeping with Halloween, you know, autumn death theme, I should say, death goth theme. This is the Victoria Francis Oracle. I tend to like to work with this deck a lot this time of year. It's just, the artwork is so vampiric and just fitting for Halloween energy and, you know, autumn and sad girl vibes, right? This is like a really beautiful deck for that. And I do tend to read with this deck very intuitively. I don't really reference the guidebook. Just to be completely honest, I haven't found the guidebook to really resonate with what comes up for me when I look at the cards. So I do read this oracle deck completely intuitively. And I will try to make a note to remember to kind of give a little demo of that on the channel for those of you who want to work with oracle decks more completely intuitively, like how you can build your own language for that. So I will do my best to remember to do that on the channel. But this is the Victoria Francis Oracle deck. And again, I really like the moodiness of this deck. It's just aesthetically pleasing for autumn. And it really gives a sense of like working with specific energetic beings. So if you're wanting to bring working with spirit guides into your practice and building relationship with deity or with guide energy for yourself, this is a deck that can offer you that. That's not animal based, if that makes sense. So that's a Victoria Francis Oracle. I really enjoy that as a clarifier or a daily draw deck, and I read intuitively with that one. Let's do the Unicorns Oracle next. I have to take a really quick sip of tea. Okay, so I talked about this when I did the unboxing. I don't know if I've done a review of this deck. I will have to check on that. If not, I need to get that done. One of my very dear beloved sisters in tarot had said to me that she thought I would enjoy this deck, and she was absolutely right. I'm not really a unicorn fairy rainbow girl. You guys know that about me. Much more dark and shadow focused in my aesthetic and also in the artwork that I prefer. But this deck has a really, really special energy to it. And I have found over the last month, it's wanted to come forward, especially in client readings, in really, really powerful ways and in very loving, empowering, and inspiring ways. The guidebook is also nice because it gives you a lot of practical things. It gives you the card meaning, but it also gives you affirmations, yoga poses, and ways in which you can like actively work with the deck. So if you're new to working with oracle decks, or if you're new to cards as part of a spiritual practice in general, it can be a really nice way to see how much a deck can impact your practice. So I do really strongly recommend this deck. So this is by Paolo Barbieri, and this is the Unicorns Oracle. So one of like my favorite backings. It's very, this deck can pair very well with the Chicoli Tarot, if that's something that you like to work with, especially this time of year. And the beautiful thing is the card title, like in this example here, Not a Mermaid, Daring. It kind of encourages you to flip your go-to gut judgment or reaction to the card imagery on its head and look at it in a new way. And you really get a sense of the loving and supportive energy of each of these unicorn guides, unicorn beings. And it's something that you could build a further or deeper practice in connecting with these energies if you really feel called to work with them that intimately. But it's a really, really beautiful deck. Cardstock, not, you know, ignoring the cardstock because it's not my favorite. Mine warped like immediately, which was a little upsetting, but I don't care because I love the energy of this deck so much. It's really, really beautiful. So this is the Unicorns Oracle by Paolo Barbieri. I'm trying to move a little bit quickly because I have a lot of decks on this list, guys, but like I said, I've also been working with a lot of decks personally, as well as, of course, you know, I read for others for work. So, okay, one of my tarot students recommended this deck to me, and she was bang on in her recommendation for me. This is the Heavenly Bloom Tarot by Noah Ikeda. I did a, well, I didn't break any out this time, guys, but I did lose half of my tarot deck. One moment, please. So I did a reveal of this deck on the channel a couple weeks ago, and it's just absolutely stunning. It's absolutely stunning. And actually, I think several of you also own this deck because I've been talking with some of you about it. It's such a powerful tarot deck, and it's really unique and beautiful. and I have been loving getting to know her. I've been loving using her in readings with clients. She's very chatty in a very ethereal air element way. She's just absolutely beautiful. She's such a gorgeous deck. So if you feel called to this artwork at all, I think it's a worthy investment of your time, of your money and your energy. And once you get the deck, the time investment in working with it, it's really, really beautiful. I'm just so, it's one of those decks that makes you remember why you purchased decks, because it's so beautiful and there's such a story attached to it from the artist's perspective. And you really can get, you could really do a lot of creative writing with this deck as well. So it's great for relationship and general reads, but it's also one that if you're drawn to creative writing, like I think this deck, you can really go to a pretty epic place with it. So this is the Heavenly Bloom Tarot deck, and I really, really love it. All right, oh my gosh, guys, I have so many decks still, and we're already 15 minutes in. What are we gonna do? Okay, so next I'm gonna go to the Pulp Tarot. You guys know that I am even beyond low-key obsessed with this deck. I fucking love this deck so much. This is the Pulp Tarot, and this deck is such a great deck for daily draws and journaling. The little white book is awesome. Give it a read. If you're new to tarot, you can definitely work with this deck. It's just awesome. And the pulp artwork is just a delight to the senses. If that happens to be your jam, like it is mine, you're really, really gonna love this deck. But it's such a straight shooter, but it's not as confronting as Tarot of Mystical Moments. It's more like the best friend that's gonna hold your hand while you're crying, but also give you intelligent, non-judgmental advice. It is just a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. It's a joy to work with. One of you very lovingly sent this deck to me, and I'm so grateful to you because it really feels like it's meant to be with me. Like it's one of those decks. Like if I were to redo the top 5 tarot list, this deck would be on that list because it's so, I just have such a connection with it. Instantaneous, beautiful connection with this deck. And I've been using it daily since it was sent to me. So that is the Pulp Tarot by, I believe, Todd Alcott, and it's absolutely stunning. The other deck that I've been using that's goddess-based for September and October has been the Kali Oracle by Alana Fairchild. There's the backing. This deck is actually really loving. Even though Kali Ma as a goddess can be quite confronting, and she is very much the tower, this deck can actually give you a lot of insight into like the shadow aspect of your current experience and how to transmute that, how to transform that through honesty, acknowledgement, and presence for yourself. So it's actually a really empowering, insightful deck. And the energy feels very unconditionally, excuse me, let me say that again, unconditionally loving. I love this deck. I know some people had complaints about the artwork. I don't feel that way. I love the energy of this deck, the feel of it. It's very much in alignment with how I experienced Kali Ma. She was one of the first goddesses that ever showed herself to me, and I have a very special place in my heart for Kali Ma, and I feel that this deck is very spot on with her energy. So that one's been empowering and inspiring and very loving and supportive for me. So I've been using this in my personal practice over the last few months. You guys will not be surprised to see this deck on the list. This is the Laven Pure Oracle. I've been like rejuvenated in my love of this deck because I've been using it with some students of late. And it's so funny. It's like one of those decks that I forget how much I love this deck and how spot on it is and very clarifying to tarot. It's a really great tarot clarifier, as well as a daily draw independent on its own. If you like to use oracle decks for daily draws, or if you mix that up in your practice like I do, I go between tarot and oracle for daily draws. This deck is really great for those things. And I think the guidebook is great. I think you can also really just check in intuitively with what's coming up and also give yourself a really great reading with this. So this is the Laven Pure Oracle by Lucy Cavendish and Jasmine Beckett Griffith. really, really honest, but still mysterious, still vampiric in its feel, obviously. But the titles, the keywords, they really give you some good jumping off points. So if you're new to Oracle decks and you like this artwork, I think it's a great way to get acquainted with Oracle decks. And as I said, this deck is really great for clarifying tarot spreads, for helping you pinpoint how the practical aspect of tarot. Oh, let me show you this image because that's my favorite. I love that image so much. That's the Magdalene. It really helps like clarify the practical aspect that the tarot is showing you. It often helps to get down to like the root cause of why something may be showing up for a client or for yourself. So it's a really great deck for that type of work. And I really love it this time of year. Of course, it's vampire themed. It's just perfect for the witchy energy that is October here in the States. Okay. You will not be surprised to see the Ludy Lescot Tarot on my list. Thank freaking God. This deck has survived all of my moves and deck cleaning out. Survived the cullings. This deck is just New Orleans swamp witch vampy goodness, and it has not lost its pleasure for me over the years. It's just so enjoyable to work with. And really, really haunting. It's a very haunting deck. I think this deck has PTSD, and it's very happy to share how you can deal with that yourself in your life. I need to add this to my Date My Deck series, don't I? This deck has a very, very unique and individual voice. It can be a little, you can feel a little turned around with it because it doesn't go, it's not a straight shooter. It's more of a storyteller. And so you have to kind of sit with it long enough when you're doing spreads to feel the story it's attempting to tell you, express to you, show you about yourself. And if you're not really on board for that or in the mood for that, I think you could find this deck a little bit, you could almost feel bored with it, but if you spend time with it, this deck is fucking real as it gets. So this is the Ludy Lescot Tarot. Love, 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 love this deck so much. And that's one I've been working with more personally than client readings. Ludy Lescot over the years has become less and less a client deck and much more a personal shadow work deck. I would say for me, it's along the lines of Chicoli in how intense it can be to work with it. And so it's definitely one that you respect time away from each other with. It's like long distance relationship is good for us situation. So, okay. Next on the list, Tarot of the Abyss by Anna Torian. I love this deck. You guys know this. I love everything about this deck. I work with it year round. It's very soft and gentle and loving, even though it's all pen and ink drawings. And it's called Tarot of the Abyss. And so you would kind of think it's a very shadow work focused deck, and you can absolutely go there with that. But for me, it's really actually a very loving, supportive, caring and kind deck. So I experience it that way. This deck loves to work with clients and client readings. It's very, I wouldn't say chatty, but it's very social in that it has wisdom to share, and it's really, really on board to share that with those who are open to hearing it. It's not a rainbow deck in the sense when I say like a rainbow fairy, hearts and fairies light themed deck, like it's not a love and light deck, but it's also not Murder of Crows Tarot, if that makes sense. So you can use it for a lot of different things if you're someone who only gets darker focused decks for shadow work. You know, I don't want you to feel like you're constricted to only using it for shadow work, because it's really a deck that has something to say for every aspect of life. So that's Tarot of the Abyss by Anna Torian. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, these are my top three. This next one that I'm going to talk about is very much an investment deck. If you get it with the grimoire, it's very expensive. It is an investment deck. I'm being honest because it is on my fall top used deck list. It's one that I'm working with personally. I'm not using it in client readings because I'm getting to know the deck at this point in time. But I just want to say that I'm well aware it is an investment deck. You guys have to remember that this is what I do for work, and so it's an investment for me. I don't consider it too much of an investment because of the quality of the product and the depth that I can travel with it when it comes to my spiritual practice. So this is the Nameless one, a tarot and oracle deck, and I did purchase the grimoire that comes with it, and it does have sigils for every single card. I have not done a reveal or a review yet because I did purchase this for my own spiritual journey. And so working with it with clients will come along later. And I wanted to have my own personal experience with unboxing the deck. The deck is written and illustrated by Alexandria Huntington. She also did, oh, it's not up here right now. She did another deck that's pretty popular. If you don't purchase the grimoire, the deck does come with a nice little white book. This deck is Mammoth. It's serious business. I still have it in the order with which I purchased it because I am reading through the grimoire. The artwork and the sigils are really, really beautiful. It's a gorgeous deck for this time of year. If you're someone like me who gets into hermit mode and you want to go within and you want to do like personal research and personal practice that's very solitary and focused on your personal path, I have found myself to be enjoying it when it comes to understanding myself better as a person, as an individual, and where I am on my journey at this point in time. So this is a really, really special deck. It is an investment deck. So I know it's not accessible for everyone, but it is honestly what I am working with right now. And to me, for me, was a worthy investment, but I completely understand that it's not accessible for everyone. So that's the Nameless one. It is both tarot and oracle, and each deck has a specifically created sigil for it. So if you're new to spellcraft or working with crafting as a witch, this is one that can give you some really nice jumping off points and inspiration. We take good care of her. So she's going in her nice little tuck box. Okay, my two top decks for this year, for October 2022, I almost said the year wrong. Tarot Vampires isn't on this list right now, but that's because I'm preparing to start working with her in October and November, like more like mid-October to November. I can feel her coming in, but she's not, I haven't quite been working with her really intimately yet, but that will be happening soon. So, Murder of Crows by Corrado Roy. You guys know how much I love this deck. It's in my top 5 of all time. Freaking obsessed with it, and it's perfect for this time of year. There's so many layers to this deck. I have so much love and adoration for this freaking deck. It's not even funny. I am obsessed. I love this deck. I never want to not have it in my life. I know there was a special edition, which I was belaboring in the past review or reveal video where I was like, I missed out on it and I really regret it. Actually, having looked at a lot of the artwork, I'm okay now with the fact that I don't have the special edition. I really like the straight up black and white charcoal imagery, pen and ink and charcoal that Corrado Roy used here. It's just like this deck, Tarot of Vampires and the Darkwood Tarot, I feel like were literally made for me. Like it doesn't get any better. Like that, oh, I should add True Black to that. Like, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Like, you guys literally made the perfect deck. For the rest of my life, I'm in love. This is one of my ride or dies. This is one of my keepers. It's really good for being honest with yourself. It's not a deck that's confronting and gonna be honest with you. It helps you to be honest with yourself. And the little white book that's included is really worth giving a read to because there are some jumping off points for journaling that are amazeballs. Like really, really good. I reference the little white book all the time when I do my daily draws because it helps me to think outside of my own tarot box. And this deck is like one of my best friends. I freaking love this deck. So that's the Murder of Crows Tarot. The #1 deck on this seasonal list is the Darkwood Tarot. It's fascinating because I have a few mentoring students right now who are working with the Darkwood Tarot. And so I've been using it all the time. And I found that she wants to be working with a lot of client readings as well. So she and I have really been like doing marathon runs together. And I really feel like I've come to an even deeper understanding of her as a deck. And I think for me, she's very much about the mystery and magic of being a witch, the beauty of divination tools, and also like discovering who you are. She's really good to help you open up to new aspects of yourself. So this is the Darkwood Tarot. If you feel at all inclined to work with this deck, I highly encourage it. The artwork is stunning. The story behind the deck is really beautiful and well thought out. The guidebook is thought-provoking. It's a great guidebook to have. It's wonderful if you're a beginner. It's going to give you assistance in understanding tarot. If you're a seasoned reader, because there's a story attached to each card and there's a different theme, a sub-theme as well as the traditional tarot meaning, it gives you a lot of jumping off points. And if you're someone who likes to do creative writing, it's also really inspiring from that standpoint as well. So this is a deck that I love it so much. I just love her so much. And I've been working with her every single day, like exhaustively. So I feel like she and I are homies. We're like, we get each other. We're simpatico. We see each other very well. Also, you guys know I love reds and blacks and sepia tones and that very like moody energy. And this deck is really based in that. And so it's just thoroughly enjoyable to work with. So this is the Darkwood Tarot. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So this is my list, guys. As you can see, I'm kind of in like a contemplative space. And the decks that I'm working with, like I've needed them to also be supportive of where I'm at and not so occult based and heavy on arcane, you know, the arcane arts or occult knowledge. It's not so much about the air element for me right now. It's much more about the earth element and the water element and really just being okay with being where I'm at with that. So if you're at a similar place right now, these decks can be really helpful, but there's also some really kick-ass inspiring decks on this list as well. And I hope that you've had fun sitting with me for half an hour while we broke down my fall list. As always, I am sending you all so much love and many blessings. I will see you in the next video. Take care.